It's time for another Swiss Army knife review here on Kemp Outside. This time we take a look at the Victorinox Huntsman. Check it out. Hey guys, I'm Kevin with Kemp Outside, your inside source for all things outside. Well, when I was 12 years old, my parents took me to Europe and I got to go to Switzerland. And my parents asked me what did I want as a souvenir for my trip to Europe, and without a doubt I said I wanted a Swiss Army knife. And surprise, surprise to me, I actually got to pick one out. And the knife I almost bought was the Huntsman. Guys, that was in 1992, so what was that, 32 years ago? Instead, what I picked out was this Fieldmaster, which I've had forever. I chose the Fieldmaster because at the time I thought that the Phillips screwdriver on the back of the Fieldmaster would be more useful to me than the corkscrew. Guys, some times have changed, and so recently I decided I really wanted to pick up a Huntsman as one of my everyday carry knives. And so this is almost always in my pocket now as something that I carry almost every day. What I want to do is I want to go over this. It's a 4-layer Swiss Army knife. I want to go over all the features, and I want to tell you why I think this is one of the best knives you can carry for outdoors, camping, hiking, fishing, whatever you're doing outdoors. This knife is a knife that you probably are going to want in your pocket. Let's go through the features. Okay guys, so let's go over the tool set on the Victorinox Huntsman. So right off the bat, can opener, flathead screwdriver, works surprisingly well on Phillips screws. Other side is what they call a cap lifter. I call it a bottle opener, flathead screwdriver, wire stripper or wire bender. This also opens halfway, which is great for getting torque on a tough, big flathead screw. The second layer, as we work our way, are the scissors. And guys, I think scissors are a must-have on an everyday carry Swiss Army knife. I use the scissors probably more often than I use any other tool on my Swiss Army knife. And so that is why I always carry a knife with scissors. If the 4-layer Swiss Army knife is too big for you guys, you can get the Victorinox knife in a 3-layer knife with the scissors. The model you want is the Climber, and we're going to do a review on that knife eventually. I got to pick up a new one. The next layer is the wood saw, and guys, this is what makes this knife such an amazing knife for camping, for just outdoor use. Is if you need to cut up kindling for a campfire, this is what you want. This wood saw works fantastic. I'm shocked at how big a branch I can cut with this thing effectively. Great saw. And then the last layer on this side, guys, is the large blade and the small blade. So this is the large blade. It holds its edge pretty well. It's a pretty nice blade. I use this very sparingly, guys. I really like to use the small blade. And so if you look, this blade is already all dirty and crusty from cutting into boxes. And that's all like box tape and all that stuff. I use the small blade all the time to keep my large blade as sharp as possible. So I cut boxes, I cut paracord, anything I've got to cut that I can use the small blade for, I use the small blade. So love the small blade on these knives. Of course, it is equipped with a set of tweezers, and it also has a key ring, which is great for a lanyard. You could have put it on keys, I guess, but it's awful big. And then it comes with the toothpick, which we'll talk about in a second. On the back side of the knife are 3 tools. The first one being the corkscrew for when you want to open those bottles of wine, either at home or out in the woods. But there are some other uses for the corkscrew we'll talk about in a second. The second is the parcel hook, which is great when you're carrying those packages or anything that's tied up with string, and boy, I've had string cut into my hands before. Once you have one of these and you use it once, you'll use it all the time. And then the last is the reamer awl with sewing eye. And so these are fantastic for punching holes in leather. You can actually sew stuff with it, although you're going to be creating a pretty big hole, so keep that in mind. But I love this as a reamer punch for leather work. So let's talk about the corkscrew. Oh, and by the way, guys, there is a little hole right here where you can put a little pin, and that is standard on a lot of these Swiss Army knives now, is there's a hole for a pin. Most of them don't come with the pin, but you can actually get the pin separate. So if you're needing a small pin to like press the detent on a watch or like a recessed button or something like that, that comes in handy for that. I don't have any pins, otherwise I'd show you one, but that is one of the things I plan to add to this knife is a pin. Well, let's go back to this corkscrew. So the whole reason why I chose the Fieldmaster all those years ago, back in 1990, was that I thought, I don't open wine bottles. What in the hell do I need a corkscrew for? I'm gonna go with the Phillips screwdriver. And guys, that has been a great choice for me. This Phillips screwdriver bit has worked really, really well for me for a long time. So I don't, I don't regret that choice, but there are some things that the corkscrew is really good for. Number one, it's untying knots. If you've got a really tight knot in some paracord or some dock line or something like that, you can actually take this corkscrew and screw it into the knot and create space to get that knot free. But there's some newer things on the market which I really, really like, and one of them is the ability to carry fire tinder. So this is Helix fire tinder from Tortoise Gear. And this is their larger fire tinder, and it takes up the whole corkscrew. And so when I want to create a fire, I can cut off a chunk of this, spread out the fibers, and then I can use a fire starter to light that. And so this is a great way to carry fire tinder. The other thing I do is I get rid of the toothpick, because I just never use the toothpick in the knife. And I use this ferrocerium rod from Tortoise Gear called the Firefly, and it stores right where the toothpick was. And so with that, I now have the capacity to start fires with a ferrocerium rod, and I have my fire tinder stored in the knife. And that is a capability that I do not have with the Fieldmaster. Sure, I could carry the Firefly rod, but I don't have the ability to carry my own fire tinder in the knife. So that has pushed me over the edge. So for years and years and years, I always thought that the better knife to buy was a knife that had the Phillips screwdriver instead of the corkscrew. But now I've changed my mind, and if I only had to choose one of these knives, I would go with the corkscrew, and then I would add the fire tinder as well as the Firefly ferro rod. Can't go wrong with either of these knives though, but guys, I really, really, really like the Huntsman. Well guys, it only took me 32 years, but I finally have a Huntsman, and I gotta say, this is one of my favorite knives to carry. It is now pretty much my everyday carry knife, especially when it's hot here in Florida and I'm just wearing shorts and I want something relatively light in my pocket. This is my go-to knife. So, when would you want to choose something other than the Huntsman? Well, if you need that Phillips screwdriver all the time, then, as I said before, the Fieldmaster is a great choice. If you want something a little bit smaller than a 4-layer knife, we've done some reviews on both the Camper and the Hiker, which are 3-layer knives, right? So one has the Phillips and one has the corkscrew. So you can check out those reviews, guys, and I'll put links, all through this video so you can check that out. But bottom line, guys, is that when I'm out in the field, there are 2 tools that I use a lot. The first one is the scissors. I love the scissors. I use the scissors all the time. And the second one is that wood saw, which is why I think a 4-layer Swiss Army knife like the Huntsman is a great choice, especially if you only have one Swiss Army knife. Now, if you're like me and you want to collect them all, then you have the ability to choose what knife you want for the day. But if you're looking just for one knife that has a decent tool set that isn't too big, a 4-layer Swiss Army knife is a great way to go, and it doesn't get much better than the Huntsman. Guys, I'm Kevin with Kemp Outside, your inside source for all things outside. We exist to help moms and dads take their kids camping, hiking, fishing, learn about nature, and develop a conservation ethic. We want to help you get you and your kids outside. That's one of the reasons why we do these gear reviews, is we want to make it easy for you to select the right gear for you. We don't want you to have to guess and then buy something and then decide that you need to buy something else. We want you to be able to buy once with confidence and know that that's the tool that you need. So that's why we're doing these reviews. So if you want to get a Huntsman, I'll put a link down in the description below where you can pick up one of these. I'll also put a link to the Firefly and the Helix Tinder, as well as a link to some of my other favorite Swiss Army knives so that you can check those out as well. Guys, if you like this kind of content, definitely hit that subscribe, hit that little bell icon that notifies you when we're releasing new videos, and give me a thumbs up on this video because it totally helps the algorithm and helps people find me. Guys, we have a whole lot more in mind for Swiss Army knives, but if there's a specific knife you want us to review, tell us something in the comments below. What knife would you like to see us review next? Guys, I'm Kevin with Kemp Outside. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.